Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. This is the horror movie podcast here. Of course, we talk about horror movies from the past and the present. We review one, sometimes more, every week. And what we're doing this week, because in a couple of months' time, Rings is coming out, which is I believe the third Ring movie from the US, after The Ring and The Ring 2. So on the build up to that, we're not doing any next week, but every couple of weeks up until then, we're going to try and cover the rest of the Ring movies. So what we're doing now, obviously, is the first one on its own, is the original Japanese version of Ring. It's not The Ring, it's just Ring, or Ringu, if you prefer that.
If you nasty.
Of course, this came out in 1998. It's directed by Hideo Nakata. And this might be the first Japanese horror movie we've covered on this show. And we're almost at 40 episodes, which is a bit of a crime.
Yeah, it's strange. I was actually surprised when you mentioned that statistic last week. I was like, no, shut up.
No,
shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Are you serious?
I'm not even sure we've done an Italian movie, but that was in English still. Yeah. I think this is the first one we've actually had to watch with subtitles that we've covered on this show. I could be wrong, but I think it is. We're talking about Ring, we're talking about creepy long-haired girls coming out at... Full spoilers for the movie, as always.
Oh, the girl comes out the TV, I don't want to watch it now. Oh.
No, I'm happy that I said that before you said that, Tim. So you're happy, I'm happy, we're all happy.
I don't know if I'm happy, but...
We're beyond the spoiler wall. So, yeah, of course, if you've somehow been under a rock and you don't care about the fact that you're getting things spoiled for you, The Ring...
Or in a well. Instead of under a rock if you're in a well.
Okay, very apt.
Only 5 minutes after you said it.
But if you don't know what The Ring's about, and I'm going to keep saying The Ring, it's just easier to say with the. So the premise of this is pretty simple, actually. There's a videotape that's going around, and when someone watches it, they see some creepy images of a well, of a woman combing her hair, of an eye, I think, and a couple of other random things. And after the video is finished, they get a phone call saying that in 7 days' time they're going to die. That's the premise of The Ring. That's that simple. And it kind of revolutionised the horror genre for a bit. This kick-started the entire Japanese long-haired girl, creepy ghost.
This is like the first big wave of... I don't even know if it was just like horror movie, but kind of I feel like a lot of Japanese movies in general kind of was coming more to the U.S.'s attention after this hit.
Mainstream-wise, I mean, obviously...
Well, yeah.
People who are film buffs were always fans of Kurosawa and things like that from
right, of course.
Decades before, but yeah. And of course, I think the remake of this in America might have been the first of the remakes from Japanese movies as well. So it kind of it happened in Japan, and then 4 years later even, it happened in the US almost the exact same way.
I remember there's that great period where it first started, so you would only get the good ones at first, so you watch 3 or 4 movies and you're like, wow, just every movie from Japan is good, and then eventually they bring everything over. Ooh.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was a time, especially with both Japan and Korea, because we only got the good ones, the first probably dozen of movies that I seen from either of those countries were amazing, and I'm like, oh my shit, their film industry's much better than the American one. This is insane. And then we'd start getting this kind of weaker ones, and it was like, oh, okay, they've got shit too. We just weren't getting them imported. Yeah. That's the sort of the context, if you will, for this movie. But let's talk about the movie itself and what we think of it and why it's got the reputation it does, why it's good, if we do think it's good, which I think we do. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's actually incredibly simple. It plays out a lot like an investigative sort of thriller more than it does a horror movie, in all honesty.
Yeah, I was actually surprised rewatching it because it's been a long time since I've seen it, and I forgot there's definitely some really cool creepy moments, but there isn't a ton of I would say supernatural stuff all throughout the movie. It is more of an investigative mystery, which is still great. It's still entertaining. I was just surprised. I was like, oh, there's not a lot of scary moments and stuff in this.
It's got a very foreboding tone the entire time.
Yeah.
Because everything's counting down, oh, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And it almost becomes not a joke, but a signature every time it goes to a new day. And it comes up saying, Tuesday and then the date. And there's that little bit of music that plays every time that happens. So much so that when it gets to the end of the movie and you think they've solved the curse, and we're jumping ahead here, but you think they've solved the curse, because they found the body of the girl whose name I'm forgetting. Sadako, yeah, Sadako, Sadako. But they found her body, so that's broke the curse. And you think everything's okay. And then it's when like the main character's doing the dishes or whatever the next day, or she's looking out the window, and the day comes up again with the music, and I'm like, oh shit, this isn't over. And it's almost like a meta thing because it's not really in the movie; it's like a external thing over the top of it.
Yeah.
But it lets us know, oh shit, and then we get really what is kind of the one and only horror scene. Well, there's two. I guess the opening, which I think sets the tone wonderfully because it's a very as much as I would love a Blu-ray of this, because it's annoying that there isn't one. I had to watch this on DVD like a peasant in 2016. I'd forgotten how much I liked the sort of grimy look of like Japanese movies from this era.
Oh yeah.
They have a very particular look from them. They don't look like American films at all. There's a very sort of darkness to the image. It's really unsettling.
Almost like a little saturated a bit. I like the way they did the flashbacks, how they're in like that I mean, I guess what would you call that, black and white?
Sepia, maybe more.
Oh, sepia, yeah. But yeah, I like the way they did the flashbacks and that. I thought it was kind of looked cool. It fit the image of the film. It was like a nice little departure, and stylistic wise is kind of cool.
Yeah, it kept it interesting because, like we said, there's not a lot of scares per se, so doing things like that to make it a bit more interesting as it's going on is quite good. But it's very foreboding. Then it starts off with the two high school girls, and one of them's telling the other one about the videotape. It's this rumour that she's just poking fun at her. But of course, tonight's the night that she's going to, die. And I actually forgot how abrupt her death was.
Yeah.
Because she literally just turns around and the screen goes into negative. And that's it, she's dead.
Kind of funny, like a lot of the stuff like that in the movie actually reminded me like a lot of like stuff from Fatal Frame that we were playing.
Yeah.
Just like kind of like the look and stuff. So I assume Fatal Frame probably came out after.
Yeah, Fatal Frame would have been about, I think, 2001 or 2002, so a few years later.
I just wonder if it was influenced by it at all, or if...
It was literally like 3 years later, so maybe it did influence it. That could have been like, just like how, like the director of the original Resident Evil game directly cited Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. It wouldn't surprise me if the director of Fatal Frame saw The Ring and thought, oh, you know what? I'm having some of that. No, I like all that stuff. I like the foreboding, and what I like about it as well, I like how it neatly escalates as the story goes on, because it starts off the main reporter finds the tape at the cabin, and she watches it, and then oh shit, my photo's fucking blurry and I'm gonna die, and she brings in her ex-husband, and I actually quite like it's her ex-husband. I like that little touch that it's not a happy family. They've already split up, but he's still like, they're not fighting all the time. They're not being this stereotypical, we're a divorced couple who bicker on screen all the time. They're actually quite, they're stable. They both work well together for their kid, but but he comes in to help with this, and then it escalates properly about halfway through when the kid watches it, and then it's like the stakes are real because it's not just us that might be fucked now. I really like that, and I like how she wakes up and she sort of sees the ghostly helping finger. Like, by the way, this is going on in another room. You better go.
Yeah.
Better go check this out. Of course, the iconic scene at the end is something we have to.
Yeah.
Everyone's spoofed this. It was in Scary Movie 3, I want to say. It's still pretty effective. It looks good. It's a simple effect, but it looks good.
Yeah, I was wondering how it would hold up, but I thought it still looked pretty good. It's not like overly cheesy or anything.
Well, I think part of the reason why it still works is because we said how it has this very grungy look to it, this very dark and kind of saturated look, and I think that in this world, it feels like this sort of horrific stuff can happen. It just feels like it fits. It's very synergetic filmmaking between all the different things that are going on.
And of course, like, she just the way she moves and looks, it's like it's so creepy. It's a cool, like, I don't know, iconic monster, I guess. You'd say.
Well, we're getting a Hideo versus the girl from the Grudge movie this year.
Yeah.
I don't know how that fight's going to go. It's going to be long hair versus long hair, like just whipping. Because obviously a big part of this movie is them trying to find out where this tape came from and who's in the tape. And we discover that it was a psychic and her daughter became so powerful that she could kill someone with her mind. And after being accused of being a fake, the mother jumps into a volcano to commit suicide, which is a very over-the-top suicide, might I add. The father kills Sadako, throws her in a well, and that's how the curse begins. And that's a very, again, a Japanese thing, the idea that all these ghost stories start with a very horrific event.
Yeah.
Although this kind of, at least in this case, it is unique in that it sounds like Sadako was already an evil little bitch before the violent crime. Well, that's one of the lines, isn't it? What the guy says, her father wasn't human, or something like that. The old fisherman did.
Well, I was gonna save this for later, but maybe we can get into it now. I actually went to the Wikipedia page and I was looking at I guess this was based on a book, and I was looking at some of the differences between the movie and the book, and there's a lot in the book that they either cut out or changed or wasn't mentioned in the movie. And I think there was more of an emphasis in the book about her father actually being some type of monster. I think it even said something like it was like they just said it was something from the sea,
Right, okay.
or something like that. But
Damn it, Aquaman, keep it in your pants.
yeah. It was really interesting though. The what started the curse in the book, they said, is that Sadako was actually put in a mental institution, and there was a doctor that became obsessed with her and then raped her and gave her smallpox, and that when she died, the smallpox virus combined with her psychic energy. So I just thought it was interesting that the book has a little bit more of a scientific bent to it, where it's talking about viruses combining with psychic energy.
Now, we're not going to talk about the American one yet, but if I recall, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember some more of this, or at least more of the backstory you get into in the American one. Whether or not it matches the book's another question, but I seem to remember there being more scenes of Sudoku in like a hospital or something.
Yeah, there was more of that. It's been a while since I've seen it as well.
But that's fine, because we'll be talking about that.
Back to the movie, though.
At least in this movie on its own, I feel like just the couple of hints and how sort of vague it's left actually kind of helps with the... Because I feel like the more specific you pin down a supernatural force, the less interesting and creepy it is. And
I agree with that.
And I feel like here... Don't get me wrong, if it doesn't, but if the Ring 2 revealed that her father's Cthulhu, and it's like Japan meets, Lovecraftian...
Yeah, you definitely don't need that.
Yeah. I would be down for that, just for the ridiculousness of it, but put it in the sequel, don't put it in this one. Because in this one, I think this... it's just vague enough, and just like... Yeah, there's hints of psychic stuff going on, and I even get a hint that... because I forgot that the ex-husband's actually kind of psychic.
Yeah, which I think is just from some of the stuff I've seen from Japan, because I'm pretty big fan of a lot of Japanese entertainment. I've watched a good amount of like shows and movies and stuff from there, but it seems that like being psychic and stuff is a little bit more of a thing. If they had if you had someone try to go on an American TV show and be like, I'm a psychic, people would be like, okay, it's like crazy, But I feel like in Japan, it's like a little bit more like someone could be like, oh yeah, here we are with the famous psychic, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's taken a bit more serious. That's interesting. That's a different culture. There's the odd thing like that. If you've ever seen, this isn't a horror movie, but if you've ever seen Ikiru, which is an old Akira Kurosawa film, from 1952, I want to say. There's a scene early on in that where the main character goes to a doctor, and the movie's about this character who finds out he's got cancer and that he's dying. And it's about how he sort of looks back at his life and spends his last days. It's a good movie. Something that, to me, in that scene where he finds out is really... Because he doesn't technically find out. The doctor lies to him. Which, apparently, this is the reason why I'm bringing it up, is this is another cultural thing. I don't think it's true today. I think today they tell the truth. But there was a thing in Japan that if an illness was terminal, the doctor would just lie to the patient and let them think they would be okay.
Wow.
It was but it wasn't even so much like an out lie where they expected it to be believed. It was kind of like a understanding. I'm telling you you're going to be okay, but I'm telling you you're fucked.
That's interesting. I never heard that.
It's I mean, I might be getting small details of it wrong, but it's something like that. It was a very... It was almost like the bedside manner was to make them feel better by saying,
Yeah.
"Nah, I'll be fine. Just take these pills that mean nothing, and you'll be okay."
Uh,
So it's interesting you bring that up. That maybe the psychic thing's just more of an
yeah.
accepted. But that's cool. That's cool. I think pacing's pretty good in this movie. Despite the fact there's not a whole lot of scares or anything like that, I feel like it actually
Yeah.
moves at a nice brisk pace and keeps things. It keeps revealing more information. I said earlier how it escalates when both parents watch it and the kid watches it, and then they start to piece pieces of it together. It's like, oh, it came from this woman who jumped in a volcano.
And I think it fits pretty good. Like the runtime is only about like an hour and a half, but it's like, I think it's like the perfect amount of time though. Like there's nothing that really drags on or that feels wasted. Like, they pretty much get going right from the start, and then it's like off from there.
I actually really like when they're trying to leave the island to come back because they want to go to the cabin, find the well. I
Yeah.
like that they've got like a day left, give or take, at this point,
I think I know what you're gonna say.
and they're racing against the clock. And I like that there just happens to be a storm that's like stopping
yeah.
all the ships from like the force of evil or the force of nature is like fighting against them at this point.
Yeah.
Everything's just stacking the deck, like because it doesn't want them to solve it, which is why it's why the twist at the end works so well for me. Because if finding the body was the end of the curse, then that would imply that the ghost of Sadako would want to be found.
Yeah.
That would put her at peace to be found. But that's not the case, because we find out throughout the story that she was already evil. We mentioned that already. So it makes sense that doesn't break the curse, because she's just an evil little bitch anyway. So then her still coming out of TV and killing the dad's fine. And I suppose we could read into the final reveal then that the only way to stop yourself from being killed is to make a copy and to show it to someone. If I remember right, they do change it slightly in the American version, but we won't talk. I can't remember exactly how it was changed. But in this, it is very much you have to copy it, and then you have to show it to someone.
Yeah.
I think in the American one they took away the fact that you have to show it to someone. I think you just have to make a copy. I could be wrong though. Like I say, it's been a long time, and we'll talk about that in a few weeks when we discuss
It'd be
it.
like so hard nowadays, like just trying to find like a VCR.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I'm fucked.
Do you have a double decker VCR? I need to make a copy of this tape. Well, that's the thing. This new one, Rings, that's coming out, is it going to be like on DVD or Blu-ray? Oh, it'll be viral. Surely it's a YouTube video. Oh, it has to be a YouTube video. Surely
People sharing links.
yeah, if you do this now, it has to be a YouTube video. It has to be. There's no other way you could do it now. Oh man, that's just too perfect. Maybe it would be on YouTube. Maybe it'd be like a private. Like maybe you'd get an email and you'd click the link and it'd take you to like a private video hosting website rather than
Yeah.
just the one where millions of people go to like every day. But you could read into that. I have seen the sequel, and if I won't say it because we're not doing spoilers for the second one, and it's been a long time. I can't really remember. And we'll be doing it soon. We'll be doing the sequel and we'll be doing the prequel, which is the third movie. I don't remember particularly liking the next two, but we'll find out, I guess.
I don't really remember the Japanese version, but I really remember not liking the American sequel.
Well, we'll find out about that. I've not seen the American sequel, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Woohoo! Strap on.
I really like The Ring. I think The Ring's deserves its reputation. I think there's a reason why it struck such a chord with people in the late 90s, and created such a following, created remakes, created all sorts.
I think I might have mentioned this on the when we talked about It Follows, but I really like like horror movies that have rules in them. I don't know, for some reason it just interests me. Like I just like the idea of like, oh, like you do this specific thing and then you have this many days and then it's like
It's that the rules present an opportunity for the characters to work together to try and stop whatever it is.
yeah.
Because the example I always go back to, now It Follows is a good example of this, but the other example that I always go back to is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors.
Okay.
Because in that movie, all the teenagers basically work together and say, right, we're going to kick Freddy's ass, and this is how we're going to do it, and they have to come up with a plan. And that's the example I always go back to, because it's kind of like, it's taken, because it's already been 2 movies by that point, and it's taken the core idea and saying, no, wait, we can do something about this, there's rules to this. It's not just anything goes.
I just like thinking about all the different things you could do. Like, oh, like what would happen if you just watched like half of the movie?
That was one of the things they brought up in this, is that the phone call only ring. You only get the phone call if you watch it at the cabin. where she found the tape, because the husband doesn't get the phone call.
Oh, really? I
That's
didn't
that's a
remember
plot
that.
point because she remembers. That's why she thinks that she figures something out because of that. I can't remember what it is now, but
Maybe the
she's
husband didn't have a landline.
maybe he doesn't have a phone. Maybe he didn't pay his bill.
Yeah. Like, what if you're somewhere that doesn't have a TV? Like, once the 7 days is up.
Whatever that.
Out of the times that I've seen her kill someone, 100% of the time it's been by coming out of a TV. So
I mean, she is a supernatural force. I'm sure she could. Maybe she can come out of any reflection. So if you're by a pond or a mirror, yeah, anything, whatever. But I'm thinking, even if you're in nature, there's not even a house, there's not even technology, nothing. There's at least a reflection in the lake. There you go. There she is.
yeah.
That's my rebuttal to that. So let's get to some ratings. So how many creepy eyes between the long hair are we going to give to The Ring?
I'll give it a solid 8. I do really like it, but just I don't know. Like, when I think about it, like, if again, like, it almost seems more like a mystery to me than like a horror movie. Like, if when I think of like it definitely is a horror movie, and it definitely earns like its place among like iconic horror stuff. But I don't know. I guess just like when I think of more of like some of my more favorite horror classics, I think maybe stuff that has a little more supernatural stuff
Yeah, but
happening throughout.
you shouldn't rate it like any differently for that reason. I mean, think about it. There's been plenty of horror movies where technically there's not really much horror until it's all in tone and the build up. Like, think of Rosemary's Baby. Think of
Just for me, it just like I don't know. It's really good, but I don't know. It's just not like perfect for me. I guess I don't know. But it's good. It's a good score.
I don't think you have to qualify saying it's not perfect. Like, you'd like to say it's really good and not
Yeah.
just not give it a 10, Tim. That's okay.
Just
That's why we have a
Yeah.
scale. It's not just
off
terrible,
me.
okay, amazing. But there's
Yeah.
various levels in between those. It's fine.
I know. I had a long day. I still haven't eaten anything yet.
For me, I'm going to go one slight nudge higher. I'm going to go with 8.5. Creepy eyes between the hair out of 10. Mainly, I actually think I give it an 8 from before, but watching it again has made me, I think, appreciate it just a little bit more than I did before. And it's a solid movie. It's a solid movie, really nice foreboding tone that characters are constantly scrambling, and as it escalates throughout the movie, they're scrambling more and more, and you feel like they're getting desperate. I really like that side of it. Anyway, that'll bring an end to Screams After Midnight this week. You can, of course, let us know what you thought in the comments below on YouTube, or you can email us, mailfuzz@gmail.com, tweet at us at mailed_fuzz. That about wraps us up. So keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next week with The Boy.
Boy.